It's my turn to tell you about one of Age of Overlord's supported strategy and reveal their rarity. Hey guys, this is Tombox. Today, the strategy that we're going to be talking about is none other than Antinomies TG's Tech Genus from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Now for those of you who are not of the 5Ds era, a quick refresher, TGs, they are what inspired us to have the Synchro Tuner monsters and the ability to Synchro Summon during the opponent's turn using monsters like TG Wonder Magician. And who could forget one of the most infamous TG monsters, TG Hyper Librarian, the ability to draw for every single Synchro Summon performed. So in Age of Overlord, we're going to be shifting this particular playstyle into Overdrive, with new support that's going to fast track your Synchro Summon, provide you with a ton of Synchro material and new ways to summon, and just boost the consistency to new levels. Now, will you be able to find the hidden potential of this deck in our format, like the ways that Unchained and Illusion Chimera were completely under the radar? You know what? Why don't I get to revealing? So let's kick it off with the secret rare. We have TG Rocket Salamander. This is the only effect monster support for TGs in Age of Overlord, but that's more or less all you need because this card is really powerful. It's a Lone Fire Blossom specifically for TG, and it has a built-in Monster Reborn attached to it. So what does it mean? You get to tribute a TG on the field, including itself if you want to, and you can summon out a different TG from the deck. And a lot of the TG monsters in the deck, they're capable of special summoning even more cards, like Screw Serpent that's going to be able to special summon more from the graveyard. And speaking of special summoning from the graveyard, the other effect of TG Rocket Salamander is that it's able to special summon out TGs from the graveyard. As long as you control one machine TG, then you're going to be able to do that. Now, to make it even easier, TG All Clear converts all TG monsters on your side of the field to machine monsters. And that automatically provides you with more synchro materials for you to perform synchro summons with. Now let's look at the actual stat line of TG Rocket Salamander. And that's gotta be, it's a fire, level 1, and it's also a pyro. There's going to be support for this. You're going to be able to search out pyro monsters. You're going to be able to use this card with the Glade Star engine, which is also in Age of Overlord, so that you can use the Sinful Spoil spell cards and Glade Star to quickly get a free summon of this monster because it is a level 1 fire. I'm not going to spoil too much into the details there, but you know, this is an option which makes it even more consistent, and you're not just going to solely rely on TG cards to search this card out. Next, we have Limiter Removal, TG Limiter Removal. This card is a secret rare. This spell card provides TG with consistency that it never had before. Where you discard one card, you get to add 2 TG monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. That's already really solid. Now, you can also banish this card and take back one of your TG monsters in the graveyard and shuffle it back into the deck. However, if you control a machine TG, you get to add it straight into your hand, you know, constantly giving you resources. And there's a lot of TG monsters that can just get themselves additional free summons. And not only that, you're getting this card that is searchable through one of your new TG Synchro monsters, and that's going to be one of your opening plays to get to this card. And why this card is super powerful is because if you have 2 TG monsters and you have the 2 of the ones that you need, 2 monsters can synchro all the way to a full end board with boss monsters and everything. So you don't want to underestimate this card. This card is going to be incredibly powerful, and you definitely need this one. The next card we're looking at is going to be TG All Clear. This is a continuous spell card that provides you multiple layers of benefits. The first one being all the TG monsters are going to be machine monsters. That's going to enable the effects of, say, TG Salamander's revival effect. Your add back effect from the limiter removal now goes straight to the hand rather than being shuffled into the deck. So this is already really good. But you know, the other effect would be quite simple. You get an additional normal summon for TG monsters, which helps you extend in case you did get disrupted by your opponent. But on top of that, it provides you with a monster as well. As long as you have a TG monster on the field or in your hand, you get to destroy it and add one with a different name. So provides you with the summon, provides you with a different monster, and more or less you get to get the benefits of all the other effects. This is a really incredible card. And again, you do have a spell searcher in your extra deck. So you know what? Why don't we get into those cards? Jumping into the extra deck, we have one of the starting monsters here. We have TG Mighty Striker. It seems like TG Striker got a makeover and now lives in the extra deck, kind of moving up in the world, guaranteed to be accessible now. So what about TG Mighty Striker? Now this card is a Synchro Tuner, so during your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to use it to perform a Synchro Summon during your opponent's main phase. Now the other 2 effect is what makes this card incredible. Number 1, on the Synchro Summon, you could add a TG Spell or Trap card straight from the deck to the hand. That's really good. And if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, it brings another TG card with it from the deck to the graveyard. So you're getting 2 different cards from the deck into different places. So this card's already really good. So you get to add the TG limited removal, which will convert into more monsters. And you do want to convert into more monsters, quite simply because you have a new Synchro 5 monster that is the living, breathing soul charge for TG. That's right, so even if you throw a ton of cards into the graveyard, you're able to reuse all those resources and resummon everything. Yeah, everything. So yeah, this card is incredible. Now, as for the card that you can send to the graveyard, you can send more monsters, which means that you'll summon more from the TG Over Dragonar, or you can throw into the graveyard the Counter Trap card, which has the ability to reset itself onto the field, and therefore providing you with more disruption against your opponent and negate some of the most pesky cards available, but we'll get into that in a second. So who is this new Synchro monster? Well, it is TG Over Dragonar. This is an ultra rare. It requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner to make, and on the Synchro summon of this card, you get to special summon as many TG monsters from your graveyard onto the field in defense position. So you can't play with the Link monsters, but that's fine. Getting every single TG that you've used, and you have your choices, it's gonna be able to push a lot of different levels of Synchro summon. Now, this is not a Synchro tuner, but that is fine because you're trying to climb into more or less something equivalent to a shooting Quasar Dragon, but for TG. Of course, there was previously a Halberd Cannon, but now we do have a new monster, a new boss monster. Now, keep in mind that if you do use this particular card, you are locked into summoning only TG, but you can definitely bypass that because you are able to perform Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn, so as long as you leave the Synchro material in their more raw form, you can have access to the non-TG monsters during your opponent's turn, and that's kind of one of the ways you can use Hot Red Dragon King Calamity, as long as you can go into a Crimson Dragon and stun out your opponent. So, these are some of the options you have available, but this card is incredible because it's just Soul Charge. In a nutshell, this card is Soul Charge. And we can welcome the new boss monster of TG Glade Blaster. This is a level 12 Synchro monster that requires Synchro Tuners and Synchro Non-Tuner, and 2+ Synchro Non-Tuner monsters. So this is more or less the same summoning condition as Shooting Quasar, very similar. Now this card must be Synchro Summoned, and you can target 1 monster on the field that's special from the extra deck, and you get to banish it. Yeah, very easy stuff, and you can use this effect multiple times, up to the number of Synchro Non-Tuner monster you use as the Synchro material for this card. So at the very least, you're going to be able to clear off 2 monsters from the extra deck. But on top of that, if a monster is banished face up, you get to special summon it back onto your side of the field. Essentially, you can use it as a way to, steal your opponent's monster and move it over to your side of the field. Or you can protect your own cards, and then if they get targeted, you get to banish it and then summon it back onto the field, and therefore ultimately dodging some of your opponent's effects. This effect is going to come in handy whether you use it offensively or defensively, so that's why this makes this card a worthy boss monster. Not to mention it has 4,000 attack. Being a level 12, if you're able to make into a Crimson Dragon, you can target this card and summon out Hot Red Dragon King Calamity and ultimately skip your opponent's turn. Yeah, this card is going to be very, very strong. So if you're able to summon out this monster, it's definitely a worthy boss monster to leave on the field. And to close out this video, how appropriate, we have TG Close. And this is the counter trap. This is the Infernity Barrier. If a spell or trap card or monster effect activates while you control machine TG, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So that is, well, textbook Omni Negate counter trap. And if a Synchro monster is banished while this card is in your graveyard, you get to reset this card, which is why cards like TG Mighty Striker, when it's sent from field to graveyard, you get to send this card into the graveyard and then use Glade Blaster to banish one of your existing Synchro monsters, okay? And then in a new chain, this will activate and Glade Blaster will just summon back the monster it just banished, and this will be set onto the field, providing you more or less with 2 levels of disruption plus the counter trap. And with the counter trap set, you don't have to worry about cards like Dark Ruler No More, you don't have to worry about cards like Evenly Matched, because you're all protected from this particular point. Now to play this deck, Age of Overlord has only provided you with one effect monster, so you're gonna have to dig back into the past really to get your cards. So these are some of the cards that I'm gonna recommend to you guys right now, and it's just gonna be a list in front of you. Number 1, TG Screw Serpent, being able to special summon back from the graveyard. Number 2 is going to be TG Warwolf, being a level 3 monster that can be special summoned, so it pairs nicely with the TG Striker. You're likely going to need Tank Grub. You're going to need a Booster Raptor and TG Gear Zombie. These are all monsters that have ability to special summon themselves. Now that's for the main deck. As for the extra deck now, you need probably copies of Power Gladiator. If you don't get enough copies of the Over Dragonar, you're gonna need Over Dragonar, which is the new set. We need TG Blade Blaster. Now you're gonna use the effect to summon itself back during the standby phase more often. TG Star Guardian, a little bit newer, and then we have TG Reciprocal Dragonfly. That's also going to be very important. TG Hyper Librarian, and don't forget about the Link monster as well, TG Trident Launcher. These are all going to be essential for you to build a proper TG deck. So if you can find them, well, luckily most of these are in pretty low rarity, so it's not going to be too difficult to build them. Well, that's all I got for this video. If you guys enjoyed me breaking down TGs, you know, giving you guys some of the rarities, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and don't forget we do have an upcoming pack battle with Nishi, so you definitely don't want to miss that as well. And if you guys want to see deck profiles of, you know, more Age of Overlord content, make sure you guys hit subscribe, ding the notification bell again. And that's all I got for this one. So have a blessed day, and I'll see you all in the next one.